Hello, everybody, and welcome into Computer America Show. We've got a great program planned for you tonight. Hey, did anybody catch the two Star Wars trailers and the new Batman versus Superman video trailer? Very, very cool. We might mention that during the program. It's Friday. We got our show reminder winner of the week. We have three interesting guests. The first hour, we're going to have Magic on the show. You text something in Magic, and it actually happens like magic. Yes, it's true. We'll talk about that with the company's CEO. And in the second hour, we're going to be talking to the both co-founders of Clammr. This is a news and entertainment service that you get in 18 seconds or less. And you can listen to a wide variety of news and entertainment, but very, very quickly.
1 minute until showtime.
We'll go into the details when the show starts, so sit back, relax, enjoy the show as we begin the Computer America program. Thirty seconds. Ten seconds.
Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live, it's America's longest-running national radio talk show on computers, Computer America, hosted by national columnist Craig Crossman. Look for Craig's weekly column in your favorite newspaper. This show is being beamed nationwide at ComputerAmerica.com. Keep it here for technology news, computer products, guest interviews, and your phone calls. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello and welcome into the Computer America Show. It's the nation's longest-running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers. Computer America is heard around the world and coast to coast. And I'm your host, Craig Crossman.
And I'm your co-host, Ben.
And it's Friday!
I am now convinced the only reason it doesn't work for the other days is because you don't want it to work for the other days. Because our audience very obedient in their applauding, but I'm pretty sure you pull the strings.
Maybe. Maybe. Let's just leave it at that. But anyway, welcome into the program. We've got a great show planned for you tonight. We have two different guests, one in each hour. In the second hour of the show, we're going to be talking to the co-founders of something called Clammr, C-L-A-M-M-R, Parviz Parvizi and David Silverman. Evidently, with Clammr, you get today's news and entertainment in 18 seconds or less. Now, how is that possible? Okay. They
just shout it at you really fast. They didn't say you'd understand it in 18 seconds. They said they'd give it to you in 18 seconds.
Okay, yeah. Maybe it was like that speed reading thing that we tried. Remember that speed reading thing? That was really.
Oh yeah, maybe they stream it one word at a time.
Yeah, exactly. Could be. But they're going to be on the show in the second hour of the program. Of course, it being Friday, we're going to have our show reminder winner of the week. They love that. They do. They love that. We're going to be giving away a Logitech T650 glass wireless touchpad. That's right. And it's valued at $80. Some lucky person is going to win that tonight. Now, let me just say that if you have a comment or a question or a suggestion to us or to our guests, anything we're talking about tonight, we'd love to hear from you. You can give us a call at 347-884-8881. That's 347-884-8881. I'll get you on and get you through. Email is live, L-I-V-E, at computeramerica.com. You can also join us in our live interactive chat room from our homepage at computeramerica.com. Just click on the chat/live video button, It'll get to a split screen. On the left-hand side there is the entry form for our chat room. Put in a username. That's the name to be known by. When you go in there, click the connect button, and your browser will move you right into the chat room. The other thing that you'll see there is on the right side of that same page is our live Computer America video streaming page. That's right. Not only can you listen to the Computer America show, but you can also watch us. You can see us. You can see myself. You can see Ben. Sometimes you can see our guests. You can see live demonstrations. You can see screenshots, live video stream what we're looking at.
Screen shares, not screenshots.
Well, it's screen share. It's live. It's video. Live video of their screens or our screens. We can do that. We have the technology. We do. So.
Seems only appropriate for what we do here.
Yes, it is. And by the way, just before we get started, I know the new Batman versus Superman video just came out.
Within 2 days. 2 days. Well, really 3. 2 days, but 3 big things. I think yesterday they released the second teaser trailer for the new Star Wars movie.
Yeah, looked really
good. Yesterday. And then today they also released the newest movie poster for what do you call it? Jurassic World. There we go.
Oh, Jurassic World. All right.
Yep. New one with yep. And then they also did
the trailer for Batman versus.
And the trailer for Batman versus Superman.
Yeah, exactly. It was really interesting. And as Nathan Evans, who's the editor of Popzara magazine, I was speaking to him on the phone a few minutes before we went on the air, said it was the first time he ever seen the internet come together. He said everybody without a fault loved the video, the trailer of Batman versus Superman.
Sure.
Not one negative comment in the bunch, which is really saying something about anything. But that is of course coming up in May is the Marvel movie The Age of Ultron. We got some really great movies just around the corner. So looking forward to seeing all of those here. So anything else you want to mention before we get started with our first hour guest, Ben?
No. I think that was about it.
Okay. Well, good. All right. Well, then let's get to it. Our first guest is from a company called Magic, and I love that term because but Magic evidently is a company that has trained operators standing by 24/7 to answer every one of your requests. Now, according to them, send Magic a text message, and they'll get you what you want. Magic will order what you need from the appropriate services such as DoorDash, Instacart, Postmates, and deal with them so you just automatically get what you want, like magic. Okay. Well, here with us to explain further is the CEO of Magic, Mike Chen. Mike, welcome into Computer America. How are you?
Doing well, thanks. How are you?
Doing great. Well, I mean that's a tall statement. So why don't you clarify a little bit more for our listeners exactly what Magic is and what the idea behind the company is?
Yeah, totally. I mean, Magic really is the idea that there's a text message number that you can just take out your phone, and if you need something, you can go ahead and text us. And what we'll do is we will figure out the best way to get it to you. So, I mean, a really good example is actually, the first time I used the service myself, it just so happened that what I wanted was chicken fried rice. So I texted in chicken fried rice, and then what the person on the other side did was figured out what the best way to get that to me was and got it delivered to me on demand. But I didn't have to worry about, where to get it from, what service to use, etc.
Chicken fried rice. Okay. Now, did they deliver it in the pre-cooked in a box, like Uncle Ben's, or was it?
Well, I'd assume it would come from a restaurant, not just oh yeah, I just made some the other day. You can have it.
Of course, yeah, of course. I mean, there's all sorts of restaurants that deliver chicken fried rice. There's all sorts of services that do it, and what we take away is like the hassle of figuring out where to order it from, where it's going to be the best price, where it's going to be available, where it's going to be the best quality. That's something that can take in that situation, it can take 10 or 15 minutes of your time. Some people enjoy doing this selection themselves, but I think for me and for a lot of our users, they want to just they don't want to think about that aspect of things.
They just want it to happen.
Exactly. Yeah.
Is this the ultimate and instant gratification, Mike? Or what are we talking here?
Yeah, it's that's definitely one way of looking at it. I mean, one common question that we get sometimes is, is this a service for lazy people, right? And I think the answer is, to a certain extent, yes. I mean, if you are lazy, this is a great service for you. But at the same time, it's really, really useful if you're busy, if you're the kind of person who spends your time focused on your work or your passions, or we have a lot of people using it who just like a mother of three with a lot of kids who just doesn't have the time to necessarily figure everything out. People always have what seems like an endless to-do list these days, and it just seems like there's almost an insatiable appetite for getting things done faster, better, and more efficiently.
Yeah. Now, Mike, before we continue, could you take your microphone where it's evidently right in front of your mouth and it's blaring, and if you could just move it away from or a little below your mouth or something, I think you'll sound a little better.
Sure. Is that better?
So far, it's hard to tell with it. But anyway, so basically, Magic is it's a company, but it's a service. Is that what you're providing? And I mean, describe to me the experience of texting into Magic. What goes on?
Yeah, so you basically text in, so you just quite literally you take out your phone. We have a short code, so it used to be a full phone number, but now it's 83489. You send in a text message, and you basically just you ask for whatever it is that you want, and then what we will do is we will answer you with the fastest and best way to get that to you. So, it's not necessarily the case that it's possible, right? So, for instance, like there are people who will, order in, say, alcohol in a state where it's not legal to deliver alcohol, and our response will be there is no way to get that to you. But whatever it is that you're asking for, whether it is food or something from a store, or whatever it is that you do want, there always is going to be an answer to the question of what's the best way to get it to you, and that's what we're going to tell you. Well, and at that point, we'll also give you a price, in which case you can either say yes or no.
No, it can't be anything. I mean, you can't. We're talking basically what kind of services. I mean, for example, if I'm lonely and I want a date for the evening, I can't ask Magic to get that, right?
Magic, get me a girlfriend.
Well, there are actually quite a number of services that are specifically designed to get you a date, right? I mean, online dating is actually pretty popular. Matchmaking services have been around for a while, right? And so there's the full spectrum of like complete full service matchmaking services that will talk to you on the phone and understand what you're looking for. There's all the way to like your apps like Tinder that are designed for this, right? And so it might be the case that you do want a date, and there's thousands of services you could use. What's the best one to use? It's really actually a similar problem to what's the best way to get chicken fried rice, right? So Magic isn't the one that's going to get you the date, but Magic is the one that's going to kind of help you, route to the correct service that will.
So basically, excuse me, you're like an aggregator, is what you're saying, of services.
Yeah, you could think of it as something like that. I mean, we are basically in charge of answering this question for you, which is, what is the best way to get whatever the thing is that you are looking for. Okay.
So, are there any limitations, really? I mean, I could text, look, I'm looking for a new car. I mean, there's certainly, well, you'll get me auto dealerships. I mean, how far along do you take the request? I guess is what I'm trying to get our listeners to understand.
Yeah, no, it's a really good question, and it really does depend on the nature of the request, and it becomes a sort of difficult question to answer because of the the open-endedness of it. We could go through a few examples. We do have people looking for cars and vehicles and things like that on Magic. It's again, we're the ones that will connect you to the right service, right? We don't obviously sell cars ourselves, but we will definitely help you buy a car if that's what you want.
Well, how far can we push this? I mean, let's say I don't know. I'm out in the countryside, or I'm out in the desert, and I say, "Hey, I need some water," or something. I mean, how far geographically does your service extend? I mean,
Mhm. Mhm.
you
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question, and like the answer to that is, there certainly is a way to deliver you the glass of water in the desert, right? I mean, there is a way. It's just going to probably be pretty expensive in that scenario. I'm not sure, what desert is you're talking about, but I think like maybe a more interesting kind of middle ground case is, we do get a lot of requests, from people at odd times in areas of the U.S. where it can be difficult to get something, maybe because of the weather. Like an interesting case that I remember, just off the top of my head, is somebody who was in the middle of the Midwest somewhere, and it was a lot of snow, and it was something like 3 in the morning, and they needed a bottle of Advil, right? And we
know,
were able to deliver that to them for $40, which is expensive for a bottle of Advil, but it was actually very cheap considering there's no other way to do it, right? So they were pretty happy with that actually. And so there's just the question isn't is it possible to get something from point A to point B? The question is just how much is it going to cost?
I mean, what did you use, a drone to deliver that? I mean,
Yeah, I mean we have our ways of getting things done, and that's sort of part of our secret sauce there. But yeah, we're nationwide and
all right.
24/7.
All right, you're nationwide. Let me ask you this then, as the CEO of the company, can you tell me? I don't know if it's off the top of your head, but give us one of the more unusual or requests that you got, that kind of stood out. Could you share that with our listeners?
Yeah, for sure. So I think what's actually really interesting. There are all sorts of kinds of like you know uh, sort of bizarre requests coming in, right? So, somebody, the one that sort of got a bunch of attention in the press was somebody tried to order a tiger, right? And what actually happened, in that case is, it turns out it's illegal to own a tiger as a pet, pretty much everywhere, right? So again, we can't break the law. What we did do is, we did get back to them with, all of the best ways that they could, you know,
Yeah, that's right.
interact with tigers. I mean,
Okay.
you can become a trainer. Here's what you can do, right? And I mean, to be honest, in that case, what happened was, they didn't really want it. What they wanted to do, was own the tiger. And again, is not something you can do, due to the exotic animal laws. But there are all sorts of sort of interesting requests. Sometimes we know what they're for. Sometimes we don't. We had a request the other day for 1,000 gallons of seawater, which is an interesting one. Somebody, but really, I think what's been more interesting to me hasn't been the sort of oddball, weird requests, but what's actually been, I think just some of the most emotional requests are the most amazing ones. Like when somebody in the military overseas texts in and they need to send a care package to their wife who's sick, and they only have a few minutes, but they're asking us to send like some food and some flowers, and it's like those type of requests, like our team just gets like really really into emotionally, and it's surprised us just seeing how many people are texting us when there's something that they really need, like in the moment, for a very sort of emotional reason.
Well, I want to go into more details here, but I also want you to tell me a little bit about how the idea for Magic came about. I mean, did you need something and you went, boy, I wish I could just text that in my smartphone and someone would deliver it to me? Is that?
Yeah, it's really a crazy story, even just thinking back on it now, how this all started. But so there was a group of us who had a company called Better, and it was a blood pressure management company, and we were about halfway through. So Y Combinator had invested in that company, and so we're about halfway through. Y Combinator has these things called batches. So we're halfway through Y Combinator's most recent batch with this blood pressure company, and there are some similarities to the blood pressure company actually. Part of what we did is we had coaches who would chat with people about their blood pressure through an app. But I don't know. There's this one night where I was literally just sitting there in the office working on the blood pressure stuff, and it sort of came through my head, this idea. it was actually that example of, chicken fried rice is, I wish I could just send a text I wish I could just, if I could just send a text message to someone and get that, that would be cool, right? And I sort of dismissed it. My first thought was to dismiss it as, well, that's silly, right? You can't do that. But then, for some reason, we were compelled to, actually not dismiss it. I was with one of my other co-founders, and I actually had him. I said, look, I'm going to text you something that I want. I'm not going to tell you what it is, right? I want to just do a little experiment. I'm going to text this to you, and I want you to just figure out how to get it for me. I want to see if this is doable, right? And he agreed, and so I just texted him, and he did it, and it worked. Really the feeling was really magical. It felt like magic, and that's kind of where the name came from. It was like this feeling of just, I sent this text message, I forgot about it. I went back to my, I just typed chicken fried rice and a Coke. I forgot about it. I went back to my, my work, and then, something like 45 minutes later, delivery guy just, plops it down on my desk, and I felt this just amazing feeling of, wow, like, it's like, I'm a developer at heart, right? So, I'm thinking of it as like this command line interface for the world, right? I type in this thing that I want, and it just arrives, right? And then so actually, the next, I think it was the next morning, I got an email from my mom, and I actually, on the way to work, I'm kind of stuck behind this train, sometimes unfortunately for like a very long time, like 10 minutes, right? So I checking my email, stuck behind this train, and my mom sends me this email saying she's, sort of feeling kind of sick, and it's with a cold, right? And I remember, like, it goes through my head, oh, I should send her some flowers. That'd be really nice to send her some flowers, maybe a card. And then I remember thinking, well, but I'm not going to have time to do that. It's I have to go to work and add it to my to-do list. It's never going to happen, right? But then I suddenly remembered we're doing this little experiment, so I just kind of texted him, send flowers to my mom, and sure enough, it happened. And like a few days later, she actually calls me, and she's overjoyed, and she's like, no one ever sends me flowers just when I have a cold. I feel like just receiving the flowers made me better, right? And I just remembered this just like, really amazing feeling of like, wow, like we're tapping into something really cool here. So that was the point at which we set up a little tiny little simple website. We took it off of my friend's number, and we shared it with a few friends, and then it absolutely went viral, just like crazy. Like everyone started sharing the number with each other. Just really in a matter of days, we're getting thousands and thousands of requests, and we shut down the blood pressure thing. We're focusing exclusively on that, and I mean, it's been crazy ever since then. It's unbelievable.
Well, how did you form the business model? I mean, how did you decide how much you're going to charge, given upon what service is being asked? I mean, how do you base that?
Yeah, I mean, so that's something that is a very important, core part of our business, and we've been, all of us are engineers, so in the beginning it was definitely kind of just we had to sort of do things on the fly, but since then we've been developing a lot of software and systems to really handle the logistics of all of this. The best answer I can give is what we do, what Magic does is it figures out the best way to accomplish what you're saying, and we do take a percentage of that, but actually sometimes it can even often be cheaper than any other way that you could have done it, just because we're able to find oftentimes the best way for you to do it, right? Like if you want to send flowers to someone or on the other side of the country, and you just text us, and we're going to be able to figure out the best way to do that. And yeah, the business model is that some of that goes to us, right? But it's just like any store to that extent, right? I mean, we make money on each transaction. It's free to text us.
So you determine. Let's say a request comes in, and they say, I want you to do X, and then you'll come back and say, okay, well, you can do X by a number of Y possibilities, and then you would give them the pricing for each one at that point, or you tell them how much it's going to cost before you do it, and how does that work?
Yeah, no, we'll just tell you how much it's going to cost before you do it. I mean, a good analogy that I think a lot of people are familiar with, a good half analogy is like Uber, right? Like Uber is kind of the opposite, though. You take a ride through Uber, and you don't actually know exactly how much you're going to get charged until the end. But it's kind of like every every ride is a little bit different, right? Because it's taking into account the distance and the current availability and things like that. Uber, if there's not very many cars available, there's something called surge pricing where it's going to be more expensive, right? So, similarly, like, the literal best way to get you your strawberry milkshake now could be different than in the middle of the night. And we'll tell you the price up front, and you can say yes or no.
Okay. Okay. So
how far along in the process, how far along in the process is it until you actually talk to someone? Like, does it start out automated and then you get a person, or is it a person right off the bat?
Yeah, I mean, we have a pretty sophisticated system at this point that's kind of a combination of, software and humans, and that's sort of part of our secret sauce as well, as how we kind of do that. But the ultimate experience is very important to us, that it's human all the way, right? It's like it's not a chat bot. It's not an attempt at AI. Like, we're gonna interact with you. You can say anything you want, just like you're saying it to a human, and there are humans on the other side who are going to make sure that you get what you want from the very first message.
Now, is that the reason why you chose an SMS text platform, let's say, over developing a special app for this?
It's a great question. That's one of those things that's actually kind of an artifact of how the business was launched. We didn't sit around in front of whiteboards for a few months, kind of planning it. We just kind of, really it ended up being text message, because that's just kind of what we initially created for this test and to send around to some friends, and it turned out that that's kind of what everyone wanted. People really do like to do things over text. I think we could make an app at some point, but text is, really a lot of people like the fact that it is over text.
Okay, so how expensive would Magic be? Can you give us some examples of what different services would cost that you've had in the past?
Yeah. So sort of another reason why that's a difficult question to just answer globally is, again, because it's going to completely depend on so many factors. It's going to depend on where you are. It's going to depend on what time it is. It's going to depend on exactly what it is that you're ordering, and how difficult or easy it actually is to get that to you at the time, right? Because you could ask for something that is difficult to find, right? You could say, there's this particular brand of chocolate that I want, and you may not even know what stores in your area carry it, right? And so that may take and that may take some time for us to locate, and the closest store may be an hour away, right? So you could be looking at the cost of the chocolate plus $20 or $30 plus the amount of time that it takes the driver to do it. Again, our promise is just that we're going to do it as quickly and as efficiently as we can. We're going to try to give you the best answer to how to get that chocolate that we possibly can, right? That we believe is possible. For other things, right? Like if what you're trying to order is much easier, like a Domino's pizza, I mean, that's something where we're tending to to only add $1 or $2, sometimes even zero if it's easy enough, just something that's quick and easy to do. The point is that we don't want you to have to think about it. We want it to be as easy for you to order the Domino's pizza, or your sort of rare type of chocolate, or an espresso machine, or more supplies for your painting project, whatever it is, right? You shouldn't have to think about where it's going to come from. You know what you want, and we'll figure out the price. I know that's to a certain extent a vague answer, but it's really because it's almost like every situation is different.
Now, you said, how many people are actually using? One of the people in our chat room asked the question: how many people are using your service right now, or is there any way of measuring that?
Yeah, so we're not revealing at this point publicly any metrics about our internal usage like that. Unfortunately, it's a good question, but
yeah, okay.
Well, I mean, like, I can totally see that. You mentioned that at the very beginning you were very, very swamped, and I'm sure as you get traction, there's always going to be like moments of you're going to have your regular users who are completely comfortable asking you for a pizza, and they know how the service works, and they'll use it for a while. And then there's your, and then maybe you'll hit a website, maybe you'll hit Computer America, maybe you'll hit some other outlet, and then you'll just be swamped with text. Like, is there ever a point, is there ever a point where like, sorry, all of our agents are currently helping others. Can you, try texting back in 30 minutes?
Yeah, well, it's a great question, and yeah, I mean, so to add to the kind of the story of how it went viral, I mean, very quickly after it did, we were forced to throw a wait list up. Like it's if actually. Most people when they text in now, like if anyone texts in right now, you will end up on a wait list, and we're only letting people off the wait list when we can handle it. Our premise is, once you're in, you should never have to wait. Like once you're in, you should text and get a response immediately. So we're letting people off that wait list at the rate that we can deliver that 24/7 service to you.
Okay, so is it sort of like by invitation at this point to become a member of Magic?
Yeah, that's right. So if you just text into the number, that's on the website, now you'll be put on the wait list, and then when you get off the queue, you'll be in. So you don't need an invitation. You can just wait your position in line, and it does move along. We are letting people in relatively rapidly, and then of course a wait list keeps getting bigger when more people sign up. But there also are invitation codes, so like we do give to some of our users the ability to invite their friends and things like that.
Yeah. All right, listen, Mike, we're at the bottom of the hour, and we're going to take a little quick break. I have a few more questions for you when we come back, but it sounds very interesting, this service. We're talking to the CEO of Magic, Mike Chen. And you're listening to the Computer America Show on the Blog Talk Radio Network, the Boost Radio Network, and the IRN Radio Network. We're going to continue on with them. We got our news test bulletin of the review from Marty Winston coming up as well. We'll be right back. You're listening to the Computer America Show.
Don't complain about your cable bill going up and up and up. Do something about it. Grab a pencil and jot down this special number, 1-866-663-MyTV. The more cable TV rates go up, the better digital satellite TV looks. So, disable the cable and get more of your favorite channels in 100% digital quality for less money. Call 1-866-663-MyTV right now to sign up for packages starting as low as $19.99 and up to 4 rooms. And there's no equipment to buy. That includes your free HD TV upgrade, your free DVR upgrade, and your free professional installation. And the best part, the pristine digital picture and sound. Call 1-866-663-MyTV. So, what are you waiting for? Pull out your major credit or debit card. Call 1-866-663-MyTV. 1-866-663-MyTV. Disable the cable, cut costs, and get more. Call 1-866-663-MyTV. 1-866-663-MyTV.
Hi, this is Craig Crossman, host of the Computer America Show. You have important meetings to schedule. Your company's getting ready for its IPO, and you're in charge of the PTA fundraiser this month. So how do you coordinate everyone to be available at the same time? Are you still using emails, phone calls, even text messages to schedule meetings with a group of people? How's that working out for you? That's so great, huh? It's a fact that every day, millions of people suffer from scheduling headaches. Well, with Doodle, scheduling meetings with a group of people is quick and easy. With Doodle, you can easily propose available times to each member. Each one checks off the times that they're available, and then you simply pick the time that works best for the group, all in an easy-to-read display that integrates with your existing calendar. Nothing could be more simple. Give Doodle a try for free, and like millions of Doodle users, you'll truly see how easy it is to find the perfect date and time for all your meetings. That's www.doodle.com.
Here we go again. This is Marty Winston with a news tips bulletin review for Computer America. This time, the GLLS EdgeLit LED light board. Green LED Lighting Solutions sent us a standard sample EdgeLit LED light board, a small square panel as thin as foam core board. That's stuff you use at science fair exhibits. The sample has a row of 9 LEDs on one side, lighted at 3200 degrees Kelvin, which is fairly warm white, and on the opposite edge, another 9 at 5300, which is getting close to daylight. It has an opaque back and a grid of small optics within the back face to spread the light from those emitters more or less evenly across the surface. So effectively, it makes the entire square a light source. Edge-lit LED displays derive from the edge-lit micro-lens panels that are backlights to monitors and notebooks and other displays. Most residential applications today tend to be shelf or counter or accent lights, but we expect them to become part of general room lighting once consumers learn about good ways to deploy them. Even the sample panel we got would be effective in lighting a cupboard, under a desk, as a keyboard light, inside a rack cabinet, or other places where thin, flat, and bright offer a welcome combo. Bottom line, the Green LED Lighting Solutions Edge-Lit LED Lightboard sample gives us a hands-on, eyes-on view of what we see to be a major coming trend in lighting. This is Marty Winston with a News Tips Bullet Review for Computer America.
Welcome back to the Computer America Show. It is the first hour here, and we are talking to Mike Chen, who is the CEO of Magic. It's really, Magic. If you break it down, it's too good to be true, and this whole process is sounding really, really crazy. Not saying it's too good to be true. I'm just saying it sounds like magic. So, apt name for it, of course, and getting back into it. We've kind of covered the waiting list and things like that, but the examples that you have up on the website, I mean, it gives you the general idea of what Magic should be, but just kind of reading through them, if you want flowers delivered to someone, how autonomous are these people going to be? Because like if I say, I want to send flowers to my mother, and they'll be like, oh, well, there are 3,000 different arrangements I can get for you. Which one of those would you like? And we can get them from so and so. And then like eventually they're going to need your credit card information, your address, things like that. I mean, how is all that stuff handled? How is all the personal and all the choices handled?
Yeah, that's really, really good question. So yeah, I mean, so the first thing is, it's definitely the case that when you first start using the service, there are a few more extra questions we have to ask you the first time. We do need your credit card on file, of course. We do need to, know your address, and of course, if you've never mentioned your girlfriend before, then we're going to have to get your girlfriend's address as well before we could send her roses, like in that example. But I mean, yeah, let me pass the question back to you for a second. I mean, if you were, let's say you were going to send flowers to your mother for Mother's Day, would you want to look through a website with thousands of examples of pictures and kind of pick out the exact ones, or would you want to simply have somebody else sort of take care of it, and what is just you just want to send about $80 worth of really nice pink flowers to your mother, right? I think there's both types of people, and Magic is obviously for the latter. I'm curious how you would be on that specific one.
Well, I mean, on that one, like, if I knew that she particularly liked lilies, I would of course say, hey, I need a dozen lilies or something like that. But myself, if I say, hey, I need flowers about $70, $80, send them to this address. Honestly, as long as they weren't half frozen and dead, I'd be happy. It's.
You got it. No, you got it, right? Like so many times when people want to do things, it's actually the case that there's a lot of there's a lot of aspects of it that you'd actually rather have somebody else take care of, and I think that's a good example of one for some people. I do think that for every type of scenario that Magic is good for, there's probably all sorts of people where they would want to actually pick it out very meticulously. They'd want to go through all the options, and I don't think that is a problem for Magic. I think just in that situation you might not want to use Magic. It's just kind of like Uber is a great way to get around, but sometimes you want to drive, right? But sometimes you want somebody else to drive you, right? And it's similar to that, right? If you want a 6-pack of Blue Moon beer tonight, you don't really care where it comes from, right?
For your mother?
Well, maybe, right? I don't know. It could be, right? So we don't judge in that respect. Some people send beer to their mom. Usually flowers to the mom, beer to your roommate, but you never know, right?
I think I would be too much of a control freak when it comes to that. I mean, if I want to send flowers, I mean, I want to, be involved with the arrangement. But that doesn't mean I'm a control freak for everything. Just maybe certain things. But if I want to send a 6-pack of beer to Ben, I don't think it's not too. There's not too many ways you can go wrong. You just get a nice imported beer and send it to him. Or something.
Exactly. And there are people. I think again, it's just that there's all kinds of people in the world, and like it's certainly not the case that as a startup, we can say that we are the service for all people in all situations. But there are people who, even with the complex, intricate, wanting to go back and forth a lot tasks, would prefer to do that over SMS. So we have a lot of users who are doing that. Like we will engage with you on that level if you want to, chat with one of our operators about exactly the particular aspects of the flower arrangement. But I personally think that the times when magic is the most powerful is when you just know what you want. You can just state it. It's like that command line interface, right? Like you send this beer here, send flowers, and if you want to, if there's certain things that you really want to be in control freak mode about, I think everyone has things like that. Maybe it's the case that you just want to do it yourself. That's totally fine. Right, but I think a lot of people every day, there's quite a number of things where, you just want it taken care of.
Yeah, I think so. It's not fair to say. Is it fair to say that magic is expensive? I mean, you got a $40 bottle of Advil. I mean, that's expensive. I mean, but then again, I'm sure you have other examples where it's not as expensive. Maybe.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting about the $40 bottle of Advil actually is, it's expensive if you just think, okay, $40 Advil, right? But actually, I actually really like that example because, I'm very confident that in that situation, we actually got that Advil delivered to that person for the absolute cheapest price that they possibly could have done it. I don't think they could have gotten it done cheaper than that any other way, right? It had to be delivered, through the snow at 3 in the morning in the middle of the Midwest, right? About 45 minutes to an hour away from the store. I don't think they would have had another way. So I actually, the whole point of magic is that it's going to actually find you the cheapest way to do it. It's just that depending on your the nature of your request, that cheap way may be more than it would have been if you just got it from the store. But it's just a different type of situation, right?
Okay, so cheapest outside of you actually getting up and doing it yourself, because obviously you doing it yourself is always going to be the cheapest, but for service wise, you're always going to find the best way.
Absolutely, yes, absolutely. That's exactly right. And I think also, and this is maybe a minor point, but it's maybe not, and it's kind of interesting. Like, I think a lot of people don't really think about the actual cost for them doing things themselves either, right? Like if you do have to yourself, drive 30 minutes round trip to get something. I mean, there is the wear and tear on your car. There is the gas, and then of course there's your time, which you could have spent doing something else. You could have spent it earning money, so there's value there, or you could have spent it, with your kids or with your family, or doing something that is presumably valuable to you, right? So I think people's time is valuable. I think there is a cost to doing things yourself, and to that extent, I always think about that, right? Like if I have an hour to do something. I could go, to the store, or I could spend it, working on my business, or I could, if I'm not working, I want to spend it doing something that's really important to me, right? And that has a value. But you are right. I mean, ultimately, our goal is to find the cheapest way to get it to you outside of you going to do it yourself.
Well, let me ask you this: in the time that you've been up and running, which is about how long? How long has Magic now actually been running?
It's just coming up on 2 months. It's not quite 2 months yet.
It really in its infancy, which is good. Has anything surprised you in developing this service?
Yeah, it's really interesting question. The most surprising thing I think is I kind of alluded to it earlier. It's how many people are really texting into Magic at sort of these like very specific moments in their day, in their week, where like they're needing something really pivotal, right? It's like, yeah, there's this image of some guy sitting on the couch, wanting the beer, right? But there's also times when it's like you need this like specific cable for this specific thing that you're doing, like you're about to you're about to host a radio show and you need this thing, right? Or like your wedding's in 2 hours or something, and or you're someone is really mad at you and you need to do something to fix it, and it's like or you can't, you need something but you can't call the store, or you can't go on the web because you're like your hands are, you're like literally busy doing something, right? But you have this emergency going on, or this thing that you need. And just one of the most interesting and amazing, potentially surprising aspects of this business is just seeing day to day this window into people's lives where they text you when they really need something for an important reason, and you get this perspective on what's going on in the country and in the world of this sort of this heartbeat of what people need and want. It's really amazing to see.
Have you ever thought of, again, another suggestion in the chat room, as using or build this Magic as an emergency service?
Yeah, I can see how that's an interesting question, kind of based off of what I'm saying. No, I had not thought of it specifically that way. I think that
I mean, I'm going to say, hey, I need a pint of O-negative blood delivered to this address right away.
Yeah, no, that's not something that that we considered. I think that there's regulatory issues with things like that. Similar to why we can't deliver alcohol in certain states as well, right? So I mean, maybe later down the line, as a startup, I think it's a little more difficult to do certain things like that. And really, what we want to be is just remain open-ended, right? Whatever it is that you need that we can do.
Well, okay, so you mentioned legal things. Okay, all right, I understand. People want you to send them drugs or something. You can't do that. Obviously, it's illegal. You can't do things like that. But other than the obvious legal limitations, are there any other limitations that you come across or may incur with something like Magic?
So other than the obvious sort of legal stuff, right? Like alcohol, firearms, all these kinds of things. I mean, the only other things that we can't do are things that are just not possible, right? So I mean, like, if you want something, let's say you want this very particular food from Japan for dinner now, but it's not available within 5 hours of you, right? It just can't be done. There's no way to do it.
I want Kobe beef, and I want it delivered to me right away. Exactly, you're saying.
Well, I don't know. That could be possible. I don't know where you are, but we'll get you in off the service. You can try it out, and our people will put it through the system. But no, I mean we can't do anything that's outside of the actual realm of possibility. If the item that you want isn't there, we can't do it, right? But other than that, if it's legal and if it's possible, really the only other factor is price, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Yeah. So you probably shouldn't be going to Magic to look up headlight fluid and elbow grease, and I need that by tomorrow. Yeah, I get it. That makes sense.
How big a team? How big is your staff? Right now at Magic, how many people you have on this 24 working to do this?
Yeah, so it varies from day to day. We're growing very, very quickly. That's another one of the metrics that we're not discussing right now, but we're hiring very quickly. So actually, if anyone wants to work here, definitely put in an application. We're just really, our situation right now is just so much demand, so many people texting in, big wait list, and just scaling up as rapidly as we can to deliver the service.
And where is here? Where are you based out of?
We're in Mountain View, California.
Mountain View, California. Okay. So if you get okay, no requests for glasses of water, I think at this point.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's terrible what's going on over there. The water shortage.
Oh yeah, the drought.
The drought, exactly. This is awful. Okay, so if people want more information, of course they can go to our website at computeramerica.com and just click on the show notes button, and you'll see today's show, the date there, and you'll see in the first hour Magic with Mike Chen, CEO of the company, and we actually have a link to the Magic website, and you can check it out for yourself, which is basically getmagicnow.com. But again, we have the link right up to it, so you can check it out. And if you go there now, according to Mike, when you put in a request, initially you'll just say, well, they'll kind of put you on a waiting list, say until such time when they feel that they can accommodate you as a new subscriber, and then you'll have access to the service. Do you ask?
Seems like something worth getting on a wait list for. Sounds really cool.
I think so. It sounds really neat. Typical waiting time is about how long right now for someone who...
To get off the wait list? Yeah. It's... I wish I could give you an answer there. I mean, it's probably going to be a matter of weeks, although sometimes faster. I mean, really, our goal is to get through it as quickly as possible. It could be months. We've been just really going through it as quickly as we can. There is also, it's actually interesting. We did add a VIP membership where if you want to just skip ahead in the line, you can do it. That was actually something we threw on in like the very beginning. It was not actually intended that people would buy it. I thought it was just we're trying to actually stop people from texting in. And I said, well, if anyone really wants to just skip the line, they can pay us. But that's actually still up there. So for people who want to do that, they can. But it is actually really just a free service if you want to just wait as well.
All right. And again, you can check it out, and then and so when you subscribe to it, actually becoming a member, there's no charge, there's no subscription fee, is what you're saying. It's just on a service by service.
That's correct. It's completely free to use. I mean, it's just think of it like Amazon.com, right? You can always go and see if you want something, and then when you buy something, that's when you pay. Yeah.
Okay, exactly. And right now, currently on the website, do you have much? There's not too much to see right now. What do you have up there right now?
Yeah, it's not too much. It's again, this is the original kind of initial website that we threw up just to send around to a few friends, and it sort of went sufficiently viral that we were convinced that it actually was, it said everything that needed to be said. But it just has the phone number that you text into 83489. You don't even need to go to the website actually. If you want, you can just text that number, and we'll immediately just sign you up. There isn't really a sign-up process. If you just text in, we'll just have your number, and then we'll text you back when it's time to let you in. On the website, there's also just a few examples. If you've been listening to this show so far, I'm sure you already get the idea, but you can see some example uses and just simple, frequently asked questions. That's really it.
All right. Well, again, Mike, I want to thank you for being here with us on the Computer America Show. Extremely interesting concept and idea. Truly making our smartphones even more magical. I think we're getting so much information and things being done now, and this just adds to that, where you can actually just ask for it and it will magically appear. I love the concept. I think it's very clever, and I wish you the best of luck with it. And maybe you should check in with us again, in 6 months or 8 months, and see how things are coming along with you and your service.
Sure thing. Yeah, thanks for having me. It's really a pleasure.
Mike, you take care. Have a good evening, and good night.
Good night.
Yeah, good night.
Bye-bye. All right, there you go. Again, Magic is the service, text messaging service, and you should check it out for yourself. Again, at our show notes page at computeramerica.com.
I mean, if they get it to where they seem to want to take it, that certainly will be magic.
I think it would be. Yeah, exactly. So, hey, do we have time to do a couple of news stories here before we go to the next hour? I think we do.
I think one or two.
Okay, all right. Well, then let's do some computer news. All right, let's just do that. Tonight's computer and technology news is brought to you by Slimware Utilities, the official optimization software of Computer America. You can visit them at slimwareutilities.com to clean, speed up, and optimize your Windows system for free. Everything at slimwareutilities.com is completely free. Download all of them. You'll be happy that you did it, and you'll thank us for it. slimwareutilities.com. You take the first story.
Oh, first story? Okay. I got one just for such an occasion. This was actually pretty funny. This one is, see if I can find it here. This has to involve, I want to say Comcast, and how in Washington, I think it was this one. Yeah, apparently, no, I'm sorry, Oregon. Oregon cities, they want their own fiber networks. And they don't want to wait for Google to come around to to Oregon and other surrounding cities, because, as you know, Google Fiber, the new gigabit internet service, making a lot of inroads into a lot of different cities, but unfortunately it's only in a handful. I want to say less than 10 right now. So that's it makes a lot of news and it makes a lot of splash, but at the end of the day, 10 cities isn't exactly anywhere near to a lot of people. So instead of waiting for Google Fiber to get there and give them the gigabit internet service that they so desire, and obviously AT&T, Comcast, Time Warner, what have you, they're not going to give you gigabit service until they absolutely have to, and the have to being until they have to compete with Google Fiber. So at least locally here, we went from I want to say 16 to 50 megabits per second over the last couple of years, nowhere near the 1 gigabit per second that we all know is possible. So here's what apparently Oregon is doing. Oregon is no longer sending out trails, but they're instead making their own internet service.
Okay.
Municipalities, so Hillsborough, Lake Oswego, Gresham, and West Lynn, they're all at various stages trying to get their own fiber optic network down and in place, and this is all, again, paid for by local residents and businesses. So no longer are they waiting for the big telecoms to come in and lay down the fiber, the fiber infrastructure to get this fast internet. They're doing it themselves.
Oh, wow.
That's awesome. That's the exact same thing they were fighting for in Tennessee. Although the big telecommunications companies, they were actually fighting. They're actually fighting the legislation to let states and counties make their own fiber internet networks, because they wanted to be the only one to do it. They actually, I think Comcast actually wrote a letter, about the whole thing, and I kind of want to read this. By the way, the particular website I'm getting, I'm kind of reading from, OregonLive.com, and the author is Mike Rogoway, and this statement from Comcast is hilarious. Quote, "We're supportive of public-private partnerships where tax dollars aren't competing against private investment capital. In general, cities have extensive needs like roads, police, parks, and community development, and we think, especially in times of fiscal trade-offs, that taxpayer money should be focused on those needs rather than competing with the private sector." End quote. That is some passive-aggressive bull honky. You know what I mean? Like, for some reason they said that, essentially what that means is, hey, states and counties should be spending their money on roads, police, parks, community development, things like that, not for taking our jobs, not for taking our territory, says Comcast. They shouldn't be taking, laying down fiber optic networks. They shouldn't be doing that. We should be doing that. You should be focusing on other things. Even though the only reason they're doing it is because there is a need and a desire, and they're not willing to wait for Comcast or whoever to come in and do it. So they're taking matters into their own hands.
And how are they actually taking matters into their own hands?
By laying down the fiber network.
Okay. Without the permission of the of the local and regional law?
No, with permission.
Ah, okay.
This is all set up by the local governments.
Ah, okay.
Local governments, and then they're getting private individuals and private companies and small businesses to sign on board to help pay for it. Like they aren't paying it, I'm sure there's going to be some kind of tax increase, but they're also getting people just like Google does. When Google comes to town, they send people out and they say, hey, would you mind signing up for this? If enough of you sign up, you'll pay the $300 installation fee, and if they get enough people to pay $300, then the whole neighborhood gets it. Like they're doing that on their own, and Comcast is being so passive aggressive and saying, hey, you should be spending that money on roads and police and parks. And then what kills me is that they also include community development, as if gigabit internet service, and it's been proven that where there is high-speed internet, businesses and private individuals, success is sure to follow. The amount of data that you can push around, the speed at which you can do it, it really helps businesses increase their revenue. So community development surely involves faster network speeds. So that was this whole story where, hey, if you're in Oregon, personally, without actually being there, I wish where I lived was doing something very, very similar, because it's really, really cool that local governments will do this.
Yeah. Our guest, by the way, is waiting to be called. So why don't you do that?
We'll do it. Hey, look, you said you want me to do a story, and then I do it.
I did,
and then you have no comment on it. I'm hurt, Craig. I'm hurt.
All right. All right. You're listening to the Computer America Show on the Blog Talk Radio Network, on the Boost Radio Network, and the IRN Radio Network. Ben and I are going to be talking to our next hour guest, Clammr.com. Getting news and entertainment in 18 seconds or less. I want to hear how that happens. We've got another News Tips Bulletin review from Marty Winston coming up, and of course our show reminder winner of the week. That's all coming up in hour 2 of the Computer America Show.
Broadcasting live. It's the only national radio talk show on computers to air every weeknight. Computer America. Hosted by national columnist Craig Crossman. The first hour's behind us, but there's still more of tech news, tech talk, and your phone calls. We're being beamed nationwide at ComputerAmerica.com. You got computer problems? Bring them on. You're listening to Computer America. Computers run the world, and we run computers. Call us or send us an email to live@computeramerica.com.
Hello and welcome into hour 2 of the nation's longest-running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers. This is the Computer America Show, and I'm your host, Craig Crossman. My co-host Ben is getting our second hour guest on the air, so stand by for that. In the meantime, if you are just joining us and you missed our first hour interview with Magic, Mike Chen was here, the CEO of the company, talking about the service.
And I'm your co-host, Ben.
A little late.
Whatever.
If you missed any portion of that, so you can always listen to our past shows, just click the archive button up at the top of any of the Computer America pages, and you can download the audio portions or even the video parts of the show. We have our own YouTube channel. So if you miss any of it, you certainly can get it again. But I think that I don't know, Ben, I think that Magic Surface actually is kind of interesting. He's only been doing it for a couple of months, but I think they're onto something. I mean, what do you think?
Pertaining to last hour, I guess, I mean, like I said earlier, if they can get this to where they want to take it, it stands to be a really, really cool service, because, hey, he's right. Uber works, and and he said they kind of aggregate from many other websites that already exist. It's like it's not like they're trying to reinvent the wheel. They're just trying to consolidate, what is possible nowadays into a very concise service. So I, wish them the best, and I can't wait to check back with them. But yeah, everything they said was possible. It's just, can they do it? And can they get it consolidated? And that's going to be the cool thing to see.
Okay. Well, again, as I said, we're going to have our show reminder winner coming up in the second hour, and of course, the very last of this week's News Tips Bulletin Review from Marty Winston. We'll have 2 brand new ones on Monday here on the program. Again, if you have a comment or a question for anything our guests have to say, give us a call at 347-884-8881. 347-884-8881 will get you on and get you through. Email live, L-I-V-E, at computeramerica.com. Or you can join us in our live interactive chat room from our homepage at computeramerica.com. So that said, I guess we just should introduce our next hour guests. And as I mentioned, they are from a company called Clammr. Okay. Now with Clammr, according to them, you get today's news and entertainment in 18 seconds or less. What is this, like Vine? You know, and everything in 18 seconds or less. Okay. Listen to a personalized, continuous stream of short audio clips featuring today's music, comedy, podcasts, and news summaries from the sources you love, like NPR, The Onion, Jimmy Fallon, Urban Dictionary, TechCrunch, Recode, the NBA, Huffington Post, Gawker, Jezebel, Cosmopolitan, Cow, Deadline Hollywood, Hollywood Reporter, Variety, Time Magazine, and many, many more.
Now, I know some of those.
Yeah. Now, here to talk to us and explain how this all works, how exactly Clammr works, are both of Clammr's co-founders, Parvizi and David Silverman. Gentlemen, welcome into Computer America. How are you?
Hey, Craig. Hey, Ben. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us, guys.
Hi, how are you? So, okay, I mean, you know, when I first heard about Vine, and they're going to give me a whole movie in 6 seconds, I was a little skeptical, but obviously we're doing that, and they continue to do very well. We actually had a gentleman, what was it, from the speed reading company, where you would see one word at a time, and they would flash the.
I'm pretty sure their name was just Breed or something like that.
Like that, yeah. It was really. Anyway, you have Clammr, and why don't let's start off with Parviz, and tell us exactly, in your words, what Clammr does.
Sure. So Clammr's a bite-sized audio platform. As a user, your experience is that you press a single button, a play button, and you get a continuous feed of short audio clips. They're capped at 18 seconds, but most of them have an option to hear more, where you can dive into the longer story, music, podcasts, etc. Some also even have a read more or watch more option. That depends on what the creator did. So essentially, it's a personalized feed. It's a combination of content that you've chosen to follow, categories, as well as accounts. And there's a social curation aspect where friends of yours who like something on Clammr have that show up in your feed as well.
So, is it sort of like audibly scanning the news? Is what it sounds like.
It's actually for a news experience, it would be like a power feed of news content, exactly. And the Clammrs are created by excerpting existing audio as well as summarizing things bespoke for in 18 seconds, things that are in article format, etc. So a lot of the use of this comes from, there are actually a few different use cases that come in. One is for people who are busy, who get this power feed of content in 18-second bites that's continuous. There are a couple of other uses that may not be as obvious. The second one is that it's a great way to sample great audio. Actually, as folks who host a podcast, now yours is quite known and popular and has been around for a while, but many of your peers have newer podcasts or are always looking to grow their audience. And so it's a way to actually sample audio content and then dive into something that sounds interesting. Third thing that it's used for, and that we're seeing a lot of people really engaging with, is it's actually a way to share great audio content. So folks who are listening to audio now have a way to share that audio or the right highlights and moments from that audio. So it actually opens up and unleashes great audio content that's kind of stuck in a long format. You think of tonight's show, for example, it's 2 hours long. There are going to be some great moments in tonight's show that your audience can now use Clammr to create snippets of and actually share with others, and that have a link back to your show to hear the full content. So it actually makes your audience your biggest set of promoters.
I have, in my car, I've got a radio. And it sounds to me...
Jeez, Craig, don't go bragging.
It sounds to me... One of the functions I can do on my radio is like I can have... There's a button called scan, and I hit that, and it'll start scanning. It'll hit a radio station, and I'll hear about 18 or 20 seconds of what's going on that, and then it'll go to the next one. I'll hear 20, and it'll just cycle until I hear something like, oh, and then I'll tap the button, and it'll stop the scan, and I'll be on that station. Is that, and that's been around for a long time. I mean, is that something similar to what you're doing, or not?
The distinction is that each of the Clammrs is a self-contained unit. So it's, for example, a coherent news update, or a great music hook, or a coherent extract from a podcast. The radio scanner just brings you to whatever randomly happens to be playing in the middle of that stream, right? And then it continues and continues. With Clammr, it's a standalone byte of information.
Right. I mean, it might scan it just at the point when they were on a commercial. So
right.
I don't want to hear that. So you're saying that how Clammr differs is that you're not randomly hearing a sample of that. You're actually hearing a concise, focused piece on what it is that you need, maybe the highlights of what's most important in the 18 seconds. And so at that point I can say, okay, I want to hear more about that. But how do I do that? I mean, right now, I mean, is it voice command? I mean, how do I access Clammr? I mean, how do I do that?
Yeah, Dave can jump in here and then kind of walk you through the exact details. It's a great question.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and there's one other thing I would just add to the prior comments. Not only is each of those Clammrs set up to be the essence of a self-contained unit that has value for you, so it's as though the scan function on your radio was super intelligent and not only gave you a valuable nugget in each 18 seconds, but in addition, it's only limited to the things that you choose to follow. So it's not actually looking at everything in the world, it's looking at the areas that you are interested in and giving you the power update on those areas. So the way you do it, Craig, is actually really simple. Once you sign up for Clammr and you set up the user accounts and channels that you want to follow, you will, on your homepage, have access to each of those channels, which you can define, totally customizable. When you first get on to Clammr, we give you some recommendations and some easy sort of default channels that you can follow that you can then customize over time. And literally by pushing one button, you'll launch into a continuous feed of 18-second Clammrs in an area that you want to launch. So for example, we have a number of technology professionals who love keeping up with the tech news. And it's hard to keep up with the tech news. As I'm guessing one or both of you are like me and Parviz and sometimes sit with emails in your inbox for days from many of your favorite tech publications, and you plan to get to them and read them, but it's hard to keep up with.
Oh, there's so many.
Well, what we're seeing many tech professionals do is this. When they get up in the morning, while they go through their morning routine, and you know that from flossing, brushing, shaving, making coffee, making breakfast, eating breakfast, getting dressed, that could be 25, 30, 35 minutes. In the course of that time, while listening to Clammr, they can consume the 75 or 80 things that are the summaries of the top stories in the world that they care about that morning.
Now, how are we? Where is that? What is that button on? Is it on my smartphone? Is it on my computer? I mean, what is it on that I'm pushing? I'm hearing this.
I should have clarified that. Yeah, today, Clammr is a platform. The first device that we have really fleshed the platform out on is the iOS platform. So it's on your iPhone or your iPad. We will obviously get to Android, and we're in the middle of building a mobile web presence as well.
Yeah, right now when you go on the website, I don't mean to be, well, yeah, I do actually. There's nothing there. You go there, it says Clammr, and there's nothing there. Just click the down. There's no explanation, nothing on who we are. There's no no details. So I was sort of in the dark as to how this is supposed to work.
It is a true fact. We're definitely a bit coy on the website. We've got a team of 4 guys, and we've been laser focused on building the right product feature set for our users, and therefore really focused our resources on the iOS app to start. But yeah, that we're going to be getting to all that stuff real soon.
Okay. Yeah, it was because I went there and there was just nothing there. Because I said, "Oh, let me find out more information about it," and I again couldn't find it. But as long as you say you're working on it, that's a good thing. Okay, so let's get back to it. So how are actually listeners? I mean, how many listeners do you have, man? How many people are using Clammr right now?
So we've been, we're actually just coming out, literally actually this past week, we were at the New Media Expo in Las Vegas. That was part of NAB, and that was really our kind of public coming out in a sense. We just took the password wall off in the winter, early spring, and so it's right now, we're not really releasing metrics, but it's basically in beta users.
No, that's what makes us bleeding edge here on the show. We love things like this where it's so new and it's just coming out, and people and our listeners will be able to go and try it and see it for themselves. But I assume you've been doing testing and what have you. I mean, how are listeners using Clammr? I mean, are they listening to news? Are they listening to iTunes music? What's the latest music? Or is it all? I mean, how are they using it?
Yeah. So. What we're seeing, and it's actually been really inspiring to see some of what they've been doing. You mentioned some of the most clear use cases. One thing that they're doing that is really in line with a hypothesis we had is they're actually using Clammr to share audio content. So they're listening to podcasts that they love and grabbing these highlights from those podcasts. If you think about it, Craig, one thing that's interesting, you look across the social media landscape, you look at somebody's Facebook feed, and you see viral video. You see viral text plus images, the kind of image memes. But you don't really ever see viral audio, even though there's an extraordinary amount of great audio content out there. There are terrific radio shows, there are terrific podcasts, but nothing inside those really ever tends to go viral. And so one thing that we've started to see is folks actually using Clammr to create those highlights. Clammr has a really terrific Clammr creation capability where you can pull in your favorite audio from SoundCloud or from your iTunes library, either songs or podcasts that are on your phone, and grab the snippet. And you can even multi-track where you can add your own voice in front of it. And an image, and then post that, and simultaneously post that to your social graph on Twitter and Facebook. So it really takes great audio content and helps make it socially shared. That's one big use. The others are some of what you alluded to, which is this kind of news power feed. And we're seeing that, you think of something like Morning Edition, for example, they'll typically have 18 stories. With those condensed into 18-second nuggets, and really 18 seconds or less, you can get through all of them in a few minutes and then deep dive on the couple that you want by just pressing a single button and hitting the hear more option. So that's kind of the second major use that we see. And then the third is just people truly browsing. We've actually seen a lot of resonance with musicians, independent, unsigned musicians who are putting their music up, linking it to their SoundCloud accounts, where you can dive deeper into, but just kind of getting this series of quick highlights from stuff they're working on that may not be formally released yet, but they want to share with their fans.
So in other words, you
Hey, Craig.
Yes.
I think we need to be on this.
What is this?
I think we need to be on this.
Oh, okay. We need to get Computer America on Clammr.
Actually, guys, we were going to tell you at the end, but we set up a Clammr account for you.
Neat.
Well, we just did the work for you. It's about 30 seconds, but there is an @Computer America account on Clammr, and we'll send you the password. I won't announce it on air, and would love to see. I think there are a couple of things that you might want to try out. One is obviously from your own show, grabbing a few of the highlights that you like and posting them. And again, you don't just post them to Clammr. When you post them on Clammr, you simultaneously send them to Twitter and Facebook at the same time, and see what happens if people are grabbing those. And then second, one thing that we're seeing podcasters doing is telling their listeners, and this is really for the super fans, right? Hey, did you hear something interesting on today's show? Hashtag us, hashtag Computer America, and Clammr us, right? So they'll Clammr a piece of that show, hashtag it, and again, it basically takes your audience and turns them into a big megaphone for some of the cool stuff that's happening in your show.
Very nice. All right.
Ahead of time, thank you for that, and we'll definitely be using it. We'll have one of our lackeys. We call him Aaron. He's our webmaster. We'll put someone on that. It sounds really neat.
Cool.
So, all right. So in other words, you can. It's basically sounds like it's a two-way system. I mean, you obviously have access to all those news feeds and things that you mentioned, but at the same time, people can create their own Clammrs and to promote themselves.
Absolutely, and they can create their own Clammrs, and then there's something in between listening and creation, which is curating. So one of the really neat aspects of Clammr is if David's listening to something that he likes, he just presses the like button, and that shows up in my feed because I follow David automatically. So there's a social curation layer that occurs as well, and you can make your own channels and curate content within those too. So that's sort of a third in between purely creating things and purely consuming. There's a curation layer that we're seeing a good bit of.
So I realize it's a little early, it's pretty early in the game. I mean, we're gonna have to have you back on, in 6 months or so and see how this is going on. But can you tell what kind of reactions you've gotten from audio content creators, such as podcasters and musicians themselves? I know you kind of touched on that, but can you get into what kind of reactions you're actually getting?
Well, it's actually perfect time for you guys to ask because we literally just got back from NMX, the New Media Expo in Vegas, and we were there to meet podcasters primarily. Quote, one of them just posted an update of the entire show, everything he saw, and he called us the belle of the ball. And I think that was that was kind of a nice comment by him. But in general, really positive reaction because I think a lot of audio content folks have a real challenge with audience growth and also audience engagement, but especially audience growth. And this adds a social layer. And of course, everybody's really busy with things like post-production, et cetera. So one thing that was really resonating was it was easy for them to create the Clammrs, but also it just took 1 or 2 sentences during their show to tell their fans, hey, Clammr us, and then suddenly tap into this social graph that their listeners have on their behalf. So it really resonated because of that challenge of audience growth that a lot of audio folks are facing. We were also embedded in the Berklee College of Music up in Boston during their last semester as we were product developing. And that was a really neat experience. We had 4 of their students working hand in hand with us. And so had a really great chance to tap into independent musicians, really at the kind of earliest stages of their career and doing some of their most innovative stuff. And again, this really resonated with that community. We have about 80 bands from Berklee up on Clammr who've jumped on and shared their content up on Clammr.
And their hopes is basically to garner more listeners. That they hear it, people like what they hear, and then obviously, I mean, if people like what they hear and they do it, then what's the next step? I mean, do they have a road, or you provide a path for them to to go to the next their website or get more information on that particular item?
Yeah, go ahead, David. Yep.
That's exactly right, Craig. Whenever someone publishes a Clammr, and they can publish it through the app itself, or we actually have a web portal for some of our more advanced publishers, there is always the option to include a link to any long-form content that the publisher deems appropriate. So, for example, when a podcaster himself or one of his fans wants to extract a highlight from that podcast, the highlight can be up to 18 seconds or less, and should be chosen to really illustrate a great moment. But when we actually do a lot of this work automatically, or automagically, as we like to say, and pull in the metadata from the podcast app, so that when the listener is listening to that highlight, there is a large button, in fact, the largest button on the page, that says "Hear More." And so a listener who hears that content can just click that "Hear More" button, and then right within the app seamlessly launch into the full podcast. So really, a podcaster. So for podcaster highlights or for independent musician hooks, it's lead gen for the full audio experience and longer form content.
Okay. All right. Well, it's sort of like almost like a demo button. You hear it and then but you want more, so then you click the button and then you get more access.
Yeah, that's a decent metaphor, Craig. I would, what a lot of our users are telling us it feels like to them is an audio Twitter, and I think what they mean by that is this: in Twitter, you have that 140 character missive, right? That note that that says something, hopefully conveys some piece of value, but often it's attached to a link that takes someone who's interested in double-clicking and learning more about that, to a longer form article. And so, that's why it's a decent metaphor that some of our users are using.
So how do users make Clammrs? I mean, how complex is this to do?
It's as easy as sending a tweet, actually, to stick with the Twitter metaphor, or a Vine or an Instagram. So basically, from the menu, a user clicks the microphone, which is the largest button on that page, and then once he activates the record screen, he has several different options. He can import a podcast and then clip a highlight out of it. He can import something from SoundCloud, like a music track, and then clip a highlight out of it, or he can just say something. A user can simply convey a piece of value. We had one of a Vine star, Jeffrey Marsh, join the system today, and he joined Clammr today, and he said something. His message is one of positivity and uplifting, and it's there's nothing wrong with you is sort of the message that he conveys through his vines, and he conveyed that message in audio format simply by clicking the record button, leaving that message, and then hitting post, and it's really that easy. It's like 3 buttons and takes pretty much as long as it takes you to say whatever you want to say. Finding a highlight in a clip actually can take a few more seconds to do, but it's pretty easy.
Okay. So, all right. Now I want to go back to this a little bit. You mentioned that the Clammr is bringing social interaction to audio. Okay. Let's look a little bit further into these social features on Clammr. Do you interface with any of the big social outlets, like Facebook? You keep bringing up Twitter. I mean, is there any kind of interface there, or are you just using those as any way of merging the two?
Yeah, no, we're definitely integrating with the larger social networks, particularly Facebook and Twitter. When users, in a few different ways, users who are posting simultaneously post to Facebook and Twitter, they can unselect those options if they don't want to. Clammr certainly isn't posting anything to anyone's walls that isn't desired, but it is very, very easy to do that. Once it's done once, it's sort of set up, and the user would have to deactivate it to turn that off. So it's super simple. And that's for a publisher. Any listener can also post audio to Facebook and Twitter. Now, even more interestingly, though, is the social interactions within the platform. It's really it really is a social platform. By liking a piece of content and hitting the giant thumbs up button on the page where one listens, that has a number of repercussions, one of which is the people who follow you then see those clips. So that means that when I wake up in the morning on the West Coast, I see what the news articles or podcast highlights or new music that has dropped in my feed, bumped up in my feed, the ones that were liked by my friends on the East Coast, for example. The liking action also impacts some of the other smart algorithms where we recommend clips based in certain sort of popular functions, et cetera. So, a lot of it is, there's a lot of social interaction. There's also an internal share function where someone can send a clip, a Clammr clip from to anyone else within the system, and then that initiates a messaging screen where people can have conversation and dialogue in groups or one-on-one about any given clip.
Okay. But what can one do? It's like in Facebook. They, you have a Facebook, but they have a facility that you can, spend money and broadcast the things that you're doing out to other people, and kind of buy,
where essentially you buy reach.
Yeah, you're buying reach. Now, for anyone who really wants to jump into Clammr and become prominent early, do you have something like that? I mean, how do people stand out in Clammr, and make waves? How do they do that?
Yeah, that's a great question, Craig. We are not doing anything like that in terms of trying to extract revenue. Today, we're really trying to create the best possible user experience for both sides of the market, listeners and content creators. Mm-hmm. And so what we've got in place is a few things. One, the social features like sharing and liking make the best content bubble to the top for everyone. Mm-hmm. Two, there are certain editorial judgments that are made in terms of publishers that are publishing great content with regularity. We feature in different editors' channels and things like that. So it's really, there's a crowdsource aspect to it, and then there's also a featured aspect to it for publishers who are creating great stuff with frequency. So there's actually a bunch of evidence from other social networks that suggest that those who correctly identify upcoming platforms that make a lot of sense, like we think Clammr does, by getting in early and creating high quality content early, those benefits actually last a lifetime, because by taking an early lead and developing real skill within the platform, that lead becomes easy to maintain.
All right, gentlemen, we're at the bottom of the hour. I've got some other questions for you, so if you please stand by. We're talking to Clammr. We'll be right back with our show reminder of the week, too. Stay with us. Looking for a best friend? Brother Wolf Animal Rescue has your best friend waiting just for you. The mission of Brother Wolf Animal Rescue is to help build a sustainable, no-kill community where no dogs or cats are ever killed for population control, where true euthanasia is reserved only for animals who are irremediably suffering, or for animals who are truly a threat to society and with no hope of rehabilitation. Brother Wolf's staff and volunteers go door to door, neighborhood by neighborhood, to educate citizens about local resources available for at-risk pets and to help their families connect with those resources. Brother Wolf's community-based approach to no-kill helps keep family pets healthy, happy, and in their homes and out of the local shelter system in the first place. For more information or to make a tax-deductible donation to this wonderful 501c3 organization, visit their website at www.bwar.org. Help to realize Brother Wolf's vision when no animal is euthanized for lack of a home.
Who's a good boy?
Hi, this is Craig Crossman, host of the Computer America Show. You have important meetings to schedule. Your company's getting ready for its IPO, and you're in charge of the PTA fundraiser this month. So how do you coordinate everyone to be available at the same time? Are you still using emails, phone calls, even text messages to schedule meetings with a group of people? How's that working out for you? Not so great, huh? It's a fact that every day, millions of people suffer from scheduling headaches. Well, with Doodle, scheduling meetings with a group of people is quick and easy. With Doodle, you can easily propose available times to each member. Each one checks off the times that they are available, and then you simply pick the time that works best for the group, all in an easy-to-read display that integrates with your existing calendar. Nothing could be more simple. Give Doodle a try for free, and like millions of Doodle users, you'll truly see how easy it is to find the perfect date and time for all your meetings. That's www.doodle.com.
What? Am I keeping you up late? This is Marty Winston with a News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America, this time the Cantech Mobile Printer Stand. We got in the Cantech Mobile Printer Stand for review, and the first thing we need to do is to deal with the M word, mobile. This is not a printer stand for your car, and it isn't for your mobile gear. It's a printer stand, and it has casters, so it's mobile. But let's get more to the point. It's built short, so even with a printer up top, it can scoot under a desk and work from there most to all of the time. You can assemble it to be just under 12 inches or just over 14 inches tall, as your printer height, your desk height, and your preferences may require. There's a shelf underneath for paper or supplies or whatever, and slots on the back edge to help wrangle the cables. It can handle printers up to 75 pounds on its 17 by 13 inch top. Bottom line, the Cantech mobile printer stand frees up space from your desktop, cabinet top, or credenza to put your printer under many desks or work tables with room for it to scoot. This is Marty Winston with the News Tips and Bulletin Review for Computer America.
Welcome back to the Computer America Show. 33 minutes past the hour in the second hour on a Friday. Before we get back to Clammr, which I'm sure they hear it all the time, is not about seafood, but something very, very cool. On a Friday we usually give away a very nice prize from our friends over at Logitech, and it's about time to announce the winner from our show reminder.
Yes, it is. Someone's going to win a really nice prize from Logitech, and that winner is Beatrix Bonacci.
All right, Beatrix.
All right, Beatrix, congratulations. Yeah, Beatrix wins the Logitech wireless rechargeable touchpad, glass touchpad T650. About at $80. Beautiful touchpad, again, from Logitech. Congratulations to you. And again, don't forget that we'll do it again next Friday. So all you have to do is register for a free email newsletter. The show, we call it the show reminder because it is truly a show reminder. It is the only publication out there, anywhere, in the entire universe. That's saying something, but it is. That will tell you who's going to be on Computer America for the entire week. Okay, and then when you just go to our website, click the show notes, the email, the newsletter button, the show reminder button, and just register. It's just that simple. And then every week from that list of names, we draw a winning name to win a really nice prize. That's a prize from the Logitech. So again, congratulations to Beatrix Bonacci, and for being this week's show reminder winner of the week. Ben and I are talking to the co-founders of Clammr. We have with us David Silverman, and also with us Parviz Parvizi, who is with us here on the program as well. And we're talking about their creation, Clammr, and and we're going to continue on with them. Let me just ask you this while I have you on here, and that is, you started getting into the social media and what people can do to make themselves stand out, and it's not the purchasing model. I mean that Facebook has. And do you think that you may ever actually do that, or do you think that they're going to, is this something that's in the future for you?
We haven't really seen evidence so far that that's something that is necessary or additive to the user experience. Mm-hmm. It's something certainly that we'd want to test. This idea that there are folks who want to be promoted to listeners, and actually those listeners would potentially get value from being introduced to those accounts. Facebook doesn't indiscriminately promote things to their users. They exercise a judgment layer, and pricing partly controls that judgment layer. it's something we haven't really fully generated data on. Really, our touchstone is the user experience and the content creator experience. And if things are additive to those two, then there are certainly things that we would consider. I think to answer your broader question about how do you stand out on Clammr, there are a few things that you can do. One is certainly posting content on Clammr, and also making sure to simultaneously post it on Facebook and Twitter. One of the best ways to get known on Clammr is to have folks follow you and like you. And so tapping into your existing social graph by publishing a Clammr and then posting those Clammrs to your other social networks is a great way to bring folks in.
Sure.
Another thing that you can do is make smart use of hashtags in the labeling of the Clammrs. So one neat feature about Clammr is the search function, which if you search for a term or a hashtag term, it generates essentially a real-time virtual station of every Clammr that uses that term. So for example, if you typed in Clinton, you would get a ongoing feed of every Clammr that mentions Clinton. So making smart use of those hashtags is another great move. Third one is curating channels and accounts. So playing that curator role and actually building a bit of a reputation for pulling together some of the most interesting and best accounts and having folks agglomerate to that. One thing I should mention with all of this is that every Clammr is an open embeddable object. So while folks can listen to Clammrs on Clammr, they can also listen to Clammrs outside of Clammr. We already mentioned posting to Facebook and YouTube. In those environments, Facebook and Twitter, in those environments, we show up natively. So there's a giant image with a big play button, and you press it. It's not just a link. You can also, we have a simple widget generator online that anybody can use, and that widget generator creates an embeddable widget that you can place on a WordPress site, Tumblr, etc., made up of accounts, channels, individual Clammrs, or even some of those search term based virtual channels. So you can create content on Clammr and then post it onto a WordPress site or Tumblr, for example. And that's another way to just get more listens and ultimately more notoriety and likes.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I don't know if I don't know if you're looking for notoriety. I mean, you want to be famous in a good way, not in a negative way.
Well, I'll tell you, Craig. We started off talking about more serious uses like news, but there's some really fun things that people are starting to do, kind of creating these virtual postcards that are mashups. I'll give you an example. There was a news story about Hillary Clinton wanting to announce that she was going to run for president. It was before Sunday. Somebody took that news story and using the multi-tracking feature on Clammr, they pulled in the Imperial March music for Darth Vader underneath that straight news story. So it was a news story, and then they added that Darth Vader soundtrack, and then they found an image of her as Darth Vader. So they created this just funny mashup, right, where the news was being read, but obviously it had a level of political commentary with the choice of soundtrack and image. And so, on the notoriety front, I mean, there are these kind of memes that you can start generating. Yeah. We're very early days with some of that, but we certainly expect some of that kind of fun behavior too.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about the team behind Clammr. I know, obviously, you have you two. You're both the co-founders. I mean, who does the programming and your efforts that you're doing here?
Yeah, Craig, I'd be happy to tell you about our team. We like to brag about them. So there's 4 of us full time, and then we have an extended family of other sort of part timers. The 4 full time folks. Let me give you a little bit of background on us. So Oren Goldfinger is our CTO and basically runs our front end. Did all the iOS coding that you see when you interact with the app. Where Oren was the UCLA comp sci graduate, and then after a couple of jobs went to Cornerstone On Demand, which is the largest public tech company in LA, where he managed a team of 12 that built a 15 million person B2B social network. And that experience was pretty awesome because he sort of built a team, knows how to manage the team, and sort of maybe coolest of all, once he got to the point where he didn't get to code anymore as a daily thing, because he was managing people all day, he started coding on the weekends and evenings building his own application. So when we connected with Oren, I knew him, friend of a friend. He definitely was the right guy for the job, and he was very enthusiastic about this. And he said, I said to him, who else do we need? And he said, well, we need one other person, and that's Ken Ito. Ken Ito is the best back-end guy that Oren had ever worked with. They'd been working together on and off. They went to UCLA together, and then were having their first job post-UCLA together. So they'd known each other for over a decade and had a ton of experience working together. And so, as a team, they're really fantastic. They have a shorthand, and so things are very efficient. And they've really done tremendous things. In a very quick period of time. So, do you have a question there?
Yeah. No, I understand. So, and I see what this is going. And now, let's put on the future goggles here for a moment. And where do you want to see yourself, in a year or 2 years from now? Where do you want to go with this?
Yeah. So we see, one of the challenges in audio is discovery. You look at, for example, podcasts. If you look at people who listen to podcasts today, 60% of them listen to 3 or fewer of them. But structurally, Americans have, according to the census, 4 hours a day where they can't consume visual media. That's your morning routine, drive time, housework, errands, exercise, etc. So one role that we see for Clammr is being a front end for accessing audio. A front end that uses a social layer that lets you identify what audio you want to try to potentially consume. So part of it is these kind of power feeds of headlines, things like that. But the other part is this kind of discovery layer. And it's a socially driven discovery layer.
Okay. All right. So I guess basically people just have to try it. That's the bottom line, I think. I think you have to try it and see if it's something that you would like, and I don't see why not. I mean, it sounds very intriguing. I think the fact that not only can you listen to current things, but you can also create your own Clammrs. I think this is definitely something that our listeners should explore. Again, I mentioned the website, but of course there's really not much on there except to download it. You can go to our website at computeramerica.com, go to our show notes page for the second hour, and we have the link to the Clammr website, CLAMR.com, and you can check it out for yourself. The only thing I hope that you do is just put a little bit more explanation on your website so people can read more about what it is that you guys are all about.
Give me a break. It's just been a week, Craig.
I know, but then you do it fast.
Craig, feedback is the mother's milk of self-improvement. So thank you for that. We'll take it. We'll definitely work on that.
Look, we wish you the best of luck with this. And as I said, you should come back on the program, in 6 months from now or something. Let's see how things are doing for you guys. Okay.
That sounds great, and would love to see you clamoring and part of Clammr Nation.
And thank you for the Clammr, our own Clammr. Well, Ben's going to jump on that and get it over to our webmeister, Aaron, and see if we can use it ourselves here at Computer America. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being with us here on tonight's show.
Yeah, it was super fun. Thanks for your time.
All right, take care. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys. Yep.
Good night. Thanks.
Good night. All right, there you go, Clammr. Okay, you can see it for yourself. Check it out for yourself, and see if this is something that you'd like to do. I don't see why.
So
not.
it's not just 18 seconds or 18-second clips. So it's not the entire day's events, and besides, it's 18-second. So it's not just one 18-second clip. It's as many as you want. So that honestly, for what we do here at Computer America, we usually start off with a company. What do you do? And if we can get just snippets of those into 18 seconds, hey, those would be great little snippets that we could send out, and all thanks to Clammr.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's good. Let's check into it more. And
Yeah, honestly, I can't wait to use it. Sounds like just what we need.
and if we need help, I have an
I think
insight.
we know someone.
We know some.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we know not one but two of the co-founders, so they can probably give us some extra help. Okay. All right, you're listening to the Computer America Show on the Blog Talk Radio Network, the Boost Radio Network, the IRN Radio Network. I think we have time to do a couple of more news stories. We do. So why don't we continue doing our computer and technology news, brought to you by Slimware Utilities, the official optimization software of Computer America. And I have one here. This one's from Maxim PC, Paul Lilly. Microsoft tops 20% of desktop search market for the first time. And he asked the question,
out of all those cool ones, you pick that one?
Okay, well, you tell me. Which one would you like to talk about?
How about a speedy train? Who doesn't like trains? They're not just for 7-year-olds. They're for everybody.
Trains? Okay.
Trains.
Right.
And, of all the trains, we know the big bustling locomotives of yesteryear in America. They help build, shape the country as what it is. But I would say, even outside of America, probably the most famous type of train is...
What?
The maglev.
Oh, I think I'd say, all right, maglev. All right.
Is the maglev train from Japan?
Well, that is very...
Yeah, they're trains that actually levitate. Craig loves all things levitation.
I do.
As should most of us. They actually levitate a couple inches from the track, and then they zoom along, thanks to no friction whatsoever. These trains reach speeds that are just insane for land travel. So apparently, by the way, this one from Engadget, Andrew Tarantola did the footwork for us. But yeah, apparently. The Central Japan Railway Company has reported that their bullet train has topped 366 miles per hour.
Wow.
Whew. And that was enough to break the 12-year-old record, the previous record set by the exact same train and company at 361.
Wow.
So 366 in 12 years, five miles extra. I don't know if they greased the magnets or what they did.
Grease the magnets. Yeah. No, it doesn't touch the magnets, so grease really wouldn't help that, but okay.
Oh, no, it keeps the magnetic polarities lubricated, so it lets the magnets go. No, but yeah, so apparently the new fast train in the world, 366, and the... Yeah, no, and that's pretty much it. Apparently, there's going to be a new magnetically propelled commuter train in Japan that is hopefully going to be going over 372 miles an hour.
Oh my gosh, that is.
So I thought it was just a nice little article. Hey, trains, and who doesn't like trains, and how fast they go. The maglevs, I can't wait till we get some here in America. They seem like really cool pieces of technology. They haven't been making much progress in getting them installed here in America.
Did you take a look at that train? I mean, look at that thing.
It looks futuristic. If you want to know what the future looks like, that looks like the future.
All right. Hey, we're not in our science month anymore, are we?
No, we're not in science. We're in fiscal awareness.
Yeah, but this is very, very cool. Pluto. The first color portrait of Pluto for the New Horizons probe came through.
Oh yeah, that's out there just getting past Pluto now, isn't it?
Yeah, it's over 3 billion miles. That's billion with a B, as Carl Sagan would say. Away from Earth, smaller than the Moon, has an average surface temperature of over 200 degrees below freezing. That's in Celsius, by the way. And evidently, it's not really a planet according to what's his name?
You say Neil deGrasse Tyson, but really it was a committee of scientists.
Yeah, but he started it.
No, he was just kind of the spokesman for it.
Yeah.
He was the talking head that science. We actually had an astronomer on.
Yes, we did.
Here on the show to talk about it, and it's actually a Kepler belt large Kepler belt object or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, look at the picture there. It's like a little blurry glow taken from.
Before we tell what color it is, everyone out there, I think, kind of gets the artist's rendering of ice, Pluto, far away, cold, blue.
Yeah, but it's not.
It's not blue.
No, it's not. It's not blue.
It looks like a pale, just a pale color, like a pale beige white.
Beige white, kind of, yeah. What is that little thing away from it, though? What is that little blurb?
Might be a moon.
No, I think maybe it's a reflection or something. Could be.
Like a lens flare?
It could be. I mean, that's what it looks like. Well, anyway, they launched the New Horizons back in 2006 to study Pluto and other objects in the Kuiper belt, the solar system, which is beyond Neptune, from about 2.5 to 4.5 billion miles from the sun. And anyway, they just came back with this photo, and it's just
it's the first photo. I mean, this thing was obviously launched to go study Pluto in particular because back then it was still a planet. It doesn't know that its job is now useless, but this is the first of a long line. They said they want to be able to determine features that are only miles across. So there will be much more detailed photos coming.
Yeah. Now, once it passes Pluto, it's going to make its way toward other objects in that belt. So evidently, we're going to have a lot of interesting pictures coming from that. But that is far, far away.
Yeah, but that's kind of the sucky thing about astronomy. To get too technical on you, sucky things is you can launch them out there and you have all the technology, but hey, when it takes a decade to get there, that'll put a damper on a lot of things.
Yeah, especially tourism.
Think about it. 9 years there, 9 years back. That's no way to spend your summer vacation. Or 18 of your summer vacations.
I still can't get over the people who want to go to Mars and never come back.
Did we talk about that? We talked about that, right? About that whole thing being a Ponzi scheme?
Yeah, it was. But but the fact that there were people that were willing to do it, that they go out there and a one-way ticket to Mars and never come back.
I think it's noble. You don't think it's noble. You think it's insane.
I think
it's noble.
It's noble. Okay, I guess that's a word. Not one that I would use, but all right. So that's actually never going to happen. That whole thing was a Ponzi scheme.
NASA, I think, has a manned Mars mission set for 2035.
Yeah, well, that's real.
Yeah, that's real, and that's potentially going to be getting them back in one piece.
Okay. We don't have time to do any more stories, do we?
Yeah, we have like 3 minutes. I think we can squeeze one more in there before, hey, it's Friday night. Why not?
I wanted to do that one
after this is the weekend.
I wanted to do the one from Netflix. Just they were lobbying people to stop VPN users because.
It's a little complicated.
I know, but it really has a lot of meat on it. That would have been cool. All right. What do you want to do?
I guess the next one is, we can't do the one about Microsoft and Google. Can't do, just like the one you said. How about this one's insane. Okay, so the Pirate Bay co-founder was thrown in jail because the Pirate Bay, obviously being a huge place to torrent illegal media, such as movies and games and things like that.
Yes.
They got the co-founder. They threw him in prison for all the other copyright infringements. I think he's in there for like 15 years or something along those lines. Apparently, he asked for an original Nintendo console to play.
Really?
And the Swedish prison there turned him down. They said that the console is sealed in such a way that it cannot be opened without the machine being destroyed. In light of this, the institution implements the necessary control of the game console, and it is therefore impossible to ensure that this does not contain prohibited items. So because they can't be sure, someone snuck a cake into the Nintendo system, and inside that cake is a nail file. They can't really be sure what's inside of it, therefore they cannot give him one. But the poor guy's just looking for a Nintendo console, and said it was too much of a risk. It's apparently life is not as rosy as you think it is in a Swedish prison. Would not recommend.
No.
If you ever get the choice, not be in a Swedish prison or be in a Swedish prison.
Any kind of prison, it would never occur to me as a good place to be.
But I'm talking about Swedes in particular here. Sure, same guidelines apply. But in particular,
Yeah.
no Nintendo for you. So, you know, just before you do that illegal thing, really weigh your options.
All right, well, we're about out of time. Let me just mention quickly to go to computeramerica.com and enter in all of our contests. Not only our show reminder winner, but we have our Logitech contest where we give away 3 great prizes. The grand prize valued up to $80. It's the X300 Bluetooth wireless speaker from Logitech. Head over to computeramerica.com. All the contests, the registration form is right there on the contest page. Enter it. It's free. It's private. We'll give your contact information out to no one unless you're a winner, and then we'll give them your contact info so they can send you the prize. You know, that's basically it. Anyway, have a great weekend. Who's coming up on Monday? Well, Monday we're going to have Doodle on the show. Now, why do we have Doodle?
Never heard of him.
Yeah, Doodle's one of our sponsors, but advertisers. But you know what? They just came out with an app, brand new, an actual iPhone app that you can actually do run Doodle. You don't have to do it on the website. You can actually run the app on your smart device. And
if it's anything like their service, it's probably going to be minimalist and very easy to use. So can't wait to talk about that.
Absolutely. And then in the second hour, we've got another company called Goqui. Goqui. G-O-Q-I-I. Goqui, I guess.
Goqui.
Yeah, you'd find this interesting because basically the idea is to make a permanent shift to healthier lifestyle. They have this little band that you put on that
90 seconds.
That works with your smartphone, and it's an activity tracker, an app, and basically you can use the band or your own device to measure your sleep and your activities. It is one of the more popular health apps to come out in a long time. It acts as your coach. You get expert in fields of nutrition.
Why'd you say that I'd be interested? Is that a fat joke?
No, you're very healthy.
Oh, workplace discrimination. Ow.
You like healthy stuff.
Seconds.
1 second, I gotta go fill out some forms.
and have a piece of cake. We're gonna.
Ow.
Oh, okay. But that wraps up the show. Hey, thank you all so much for being with us here tonight. And again, thanks to our guests from Magic and Clammr. Thanks.
Magic and Clammr.
Yeah, absolutely. They were both very, very, very good guests. Interesting products. And thanks to both of them, we had the co-founders and CEOs from both companies on the program. Have a great weekend, and Ben and I will see you on Monday night. So until Monday night, this is Craig Crossman hoping that your hard disk never becomes floppy. We'll see you tomorrow. We'll see you Monday night.
10 seconds.
Be sure to watch those trailers.
Yes.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.
All right, everybody. Thanks for watching us on our Hangouts or live Computer America video stream, and have a great weekend. Ben will see you, and I will see you on Monday night. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Good night, everyone.